Okay, you started selling firecrackers and became CEO of Young Entrepreneurs of Soweto at 17. What motivated you to start so young, you know? And before we answer that question, I want you to just dial back on your background. Who is Khethi Ngwenya? Where did he start? Who is he? Who's this guy? Just broke barriers out of nowhere, from a guy from Soweto. Please just take us from who you are, where you're from, and just start from there.
Yeah, so I'm Khethi Ngwenya. I've always enjoyed entrepreneurship. Um, it's always what led to the passion of selling is that I was brought up in a shop, cosmetics. Not brought up, but my aunt used to take me to work with her every day, and she worked with my uncle. My uncle owned the store; it's a hair products shop, and that's when I was first exposed to how money actually works. Before that, I used to go to the shop to buy. I might keep and so on, but being behind um, the till was something different. So from a young age, from the age they could pick me up and put me onto a counter, that's how I started. And then a few years later, when I was in high school, from there, that's where I experienced how business runs. And every December, we used to sell firecrackers. And over the years, I was then tasked with the responsibility to run this small store of fireworks. So that's when my entrepreneurship bug probably started. Being physically exposed, one, to entrepreneurship, having the opportunity, being able to sell at an early age. So that experience taught me how business works and how important and how easy it can be to run a business as well. And then I then read books on entrepreneurship. So my mother was a good supporter, and also my father. I can also say my parents played a big role because of the books that they would get me. And also the books so the first book my parents that got me was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but for teens. And I read that book in around 2004 or 2004 5, around there. So quite a very long time ago. And that explained to me a lot about entrepreneurship, about saving, about starting a business, and about businesses. And that led me on to reading books of Donald Trump, Richard Branson, various entrepreneurs, and then just seeing what experience they have experienced in the past, and to say that it's normal. So even through my life situation, it's always been easier because of what I've read, true stories, real stories of people. So it always gave me the hope that something better can happen. So that's who I am, a very inspired person that wants to change and improve society, and also create jobs and for the country and better people's life through ensuring that they get the right information at an early age. Because with information, the world is yours, and there's no barriers if you have the right information. Yeah, that's a bit about me.
Yeah, thank you for the intro, man. It explains a lot. But most people think, when they get into business, it's just a quick investment to the part where you're just already successful. But it ain't that way. Like, I want you to just curate or just channel us along your journey where you experience challenges and how did you overcome those challenges. That's Khethi Ngwenya.
Look, there's challenges every day. There's still challenges. I don't think there is a business without any challenges. There's always ways you want to improve. There's always mistakes that you've never foreseen, that you've planned for, but you never thought they would happen. How do you prepare is to best prepare yourself and always be ready for any situation. And having the extra backup. How can I put that into example? So everything has to be watertight. And also another thing is what South African entrepreneurs, depending on what sector you are in, is that don't hold back yourself. Don't rely on one source of information. Also, don't only rely on friends or family for the information, or else you'll wait forever. Especially sometimes people don't have the confidence of starting on their own, and that's where the challenge is. So don't be afraid to start on your own, and then people will find you on the way. And also being greedy and not wanting to work with other people will also hold you back, because it's not growing. Sometimes it's better to have a piece of a watermelon than just having one grape. So that it's better to have a bigger piece of something bigger than having one small thing alone for yourself. So there's challenges, financial challenges that we face, like any other business. It's an obvious one. I've never heard of any company that has said they don't have any financial situations, but it's just managing it and knowing that it's not the end. And also, my mother used to always say to me, Khethi, you're not the first person to go through this, and you won't be the last to go through this. So you know how you got yourself here, and you'll know how you'll get yourself where you want to be. So just always trust in yourself and believe. Self-believing is very, very important, yeah. And don't look at challenges as failures. Don't see your fail in some instances. Companies, organizations fail all the time because of everything changes every day. We've got tariffs today. I think it's 60% tariffs that America has put on us, and things will change. So if you can't adapt to the change, then you're going to find yourself in a problem. So always be ready to adapt to change. Don't see failure as failure, see it as a learning curve. So that's always for me. Every time, that's what I tell myself. Okay, I didn't know that. Now I know that, and now I can do something about it because I've learned from that mistake. So experience is also the best teacher, but very, very expensive. Yeah.
They say a winner is just a loser that tried one more time.
Yeah.
Like, what inspired you to create SchoolMedia, and how did you turn it into South Africa's biggest school advertising platforms?
Sure. Yeah. So I started many years ago when I left. I started SchoolMedia when I left school. And that was to get the right information to young people. That's solely the sole purpose of why I started the business, is to get the right information to young people in schools, in the environment where they're in. So bringing various programs, initiatives, because all these initiatives are out there, but they don't reach the youth. All the information is out there. All these opportunities are out there. You hear about it every day. Government speaks about this. They want this. We want youth to do this. But we don't get those opportunities because you don't know how and where to get them. So it's important that there's a platform. That's why I created SchoolMedia, to create a platform for young people to have opportunities directly where they are, and to be able to see them every day, or be able to learn about something where they are every day. So that became advertising in a way, because it is information. At the end of the day, I want this right information to learners, but somebody has to pay for this information. So then that makes it marketing. So then I had to start going school by school, meeting various organizations that work with the schools to secure these schools and ask them, is this an opportunity that you would like in your school? Is this not an opportunity? And if they say yes, then I put them on our database. Then when we secure advertisers or somebody that with the right information for those schools, then we take it to them, And then part of the revenue, we give them things like wall clocks, signage, it could be stationery, whatever they need. It's just not in the form of cash, and it's not huge amounts of money because you're only targeting a certain amount of learners in a school and with that aren't working. So you're not actually guaranteed that they're going to buy or they're going to act to whatever you are showing them. But you sure that they're there. So the value of marketing in schools is not as high as a commercial billboard that is seen by hundreds of thousand people a day. So yeah, that's why we created SchoolMedia.
That's very incredible to hear the ability to actually think outside the box. I guess that's how entrepreneurs think. They make things out of nothing.
Yeah,
Um, like, how do you balance commercial success with also making a social impact in the community and outwards?
sure. So we always ask our partners to add a educational element to the initiatives that they run. So I'll give you an example. Fanta, we've done things with Fanta, Fanta Coca-Cola, and you'd think Fanta is an unhealthy drink, it's sugar. But they came up with a fitness campaign, and that was targeted at learners, providing a fun activity, which brought hula hoops, skipping ropes, and small gym equipment, small things like skipping ropes, hula hoops, for learners for the life orientation classes. So at the same time, it's a brand trying to reach a commercial goal, and then also the learners benefit because they have a activity that they didn't have at the school before, and they're left with equipment that they didn't have before. So that's how we try and balance a win for the community and corporate.
I mean, as successful as you are, you've been featured in Forbes Africa 30 under 30s. Like, what does that recognition mean to you? Is that success? And also, what does success mean to you as a person or as a public figure as you are today?
Look, I mean, recognition for me, I was quite happy because I don't have a higher education qualification. So that made me feel a bit better that at least somebody recognizes what I'm doing, you know. But it's for me, it's good. Like I'm saying, it helps with recognition. It doesn't really. You can't say not. You don't walk into meeting and everybody knows that this guy is a public figure or whatever. Because we don't. I don't really use that in our presentations. But for personally, yeah, it makes you feel good. Like I'm saying, at least you recognize for one what they are doing. So if you're doing great things, I believe you'll always be recognized. So for me, it's not. Maybe when I was younger, I thought it was good, but when you actually see nobody, your clients want to know what work you do. They want to know. They don't sit. Everybody, when you go to a meeting, they're not sitting outside at the window seeing what car you drive, or something. So it's all about what you present in the meeting, what you're selling, and that's all what it ends up at. All the other stuff is a good to have, but it doesn't make your work it doesn't increase your profit, to put it that way.
Definitely. So I had a recent guest interviewed her about his personal habits, stuff like that, that changed his perspective on life, and helped him grow as a leader. Because I think that shifts your mentality or your secretary, how your brain works. We're talking about how specific subject, the scientists, so they were doing research. So there was a jar, and in a jar there were fleas. So the lid was closed, right? So when the fleas were trying to jump out of the jar, they couldn't jump out of the jar because the lid was they kept on hitting on the players and then dropping down. So when they opened again the lid was open, right? So when they were trying to jump out, they weren't jumping out while the lid was open. But the crazy part of this whole scenario is when the babies were born, they weren't also jumping out of the open lid. That's mental limitations. That's how environment shapes your perspective and how you view your life and stuff like that. So I want to know how you came about in your background and how you shifted and what personal habits that change your perspective on life and helped you grow as a leader.
Sure. I'm just trying to get that question in. Uh, how do personal habits sh-
Helped you grow as a leader. Helped you grow as a leader.
personal? Phew, I don't know if I've got good habits, but to the normal person, I don't know if my habits are the best. But I guess we all have different habits that we take ourselves out of that zone, because you can't always be working. It's not
Oh, so
practical.
pardon, sorry. Okay, so we're going to, because I'm using a basic Zoom app. So yeah, profile. So we're gonna close and then click back again on the link and answer and then continue on the conversation, right? Is that okay?
Okay, that's perfect.
Because the time is running out. Yes. So when you click back and then come back again now.
Okay,
Is that thank you so much. Thank you
perfect.
so much.
Yes, these personal habits. So I think one good personal habit that I mentioned earlier was reading. That actually helped me a lot, broadened up my perspective, made me to dream bigger and to see things in reality, and to also visualize myself in that reality, in that dream. Because the main thing is you need to be able to see yourself in a certain place in life, and you'll be able to achieve it. But if you can't see yourself there, or dream about something, you can't feel it or touch it, then you are far from getting to where you want to get. And then just to add on, then there's habits like having drinks. So when I left school, I told myself I'm not going to go out drinks with my friends from school or friends that I've built today. I'm only going to go out solely for the purpose of finding new clients or meeting with a potential client and getting to build the relationship, something that will help me and grow my business. So those habits are mixed. I infuse them with my work. So that also helped me. And then I think that's then BMXing. It's a sport again, helps for me. Networking is very important in any business, because I wasn't in high school or varsity, so I don't have a clique of people that went into media and I can point out and I say, oh yeah, I remember Sandile. He's now marketing at so and so agency. So that's the benefits you have of going into a tertiary advanced school and then going into the industry you want to that you studied for. So other habits, sure. I guess yeah. No, that's for me. That's about it. Yeah.
I think you mentioned a great narrative in terms of just having to know what you want to do and don't focus on what's behind. I think Steve Harvey says there's a reason why the review mirror is this big, which is small. The review mirror is small, and the windscreen mirror is this big. It's big, right? Because it's important to know where you come from, but it's more important to know where you're going. So just having a clear pathway of where you're going, it helps shift, you know, your mindset. You just because if you're on the ground floor, you're only looking upwards, not downwards. So climb the
Yeah.
mountain. Um, and just okay, we have a few more questions. So like let's get into like what advice do you have for oh if we okay, what advice do you have for young South Africans looking to start businesses? And a follow-up question is if you were starting over today, what would you do differently?
Okay, so I'll start with the first one, advice for young people, and what to do. So I think don't, as a young person, don't look at people that are in tenders, or because in South Africa there's a thing of looking at social media. You hear about tenders, people got a tender and then there is retired, bought whatever cars that they bought, once off hit. Again, you are young, so it is advice for young people. So you are young, and that's a big advantage. So you'd have to first start very small, whatever you can get for if you want to become an entrepreneur. However much money, it's either you have money, 10 rand, whether it's 20 rand, or you have yourself as well as a service to provide services. So either you got money to buy products or you've got yourself to provide the service. So you need to utilize whatever skill you have to build something out of what you have. So don't try say I'm going to build an app when you don't have a clue about building apps or whatever. But with these days, it's different. There's AI, so you can always build an app. But look for realistic stuff. Or don't say I'm going to build an app and then I'm going to become, not to be negative, I'm going to become like Mark Zuckerberg or you know, those few stories. I mean, there's only one Facebook in the world and there's only one Mark Zuckerberg in the world. So don't always look at things like that. I'd always tell when I see children on the side of the street begging or something, I say, you look like young enough to go to school, to be in school. Yes, I'm in, they always say, yes, I'm in school. Yeah, so the money you're going to make today from begging, take that money, come back here, and sell cold drinks or sell whatever you can, provide a service. Take that money, go into your school and sell whatever you can. Go buy 14 chips or 12 packet of chips and then resell that to make more money. So that's small. Go to your neighbors. If you're in the township, go to your neighbors in the street, clean their shoes and polish their shoes for them. Even if it's 10 rand, even if it's 5 rand, even if it's 2 and 50. Number one, you'll be gaining the experience, and number two, you'll be doing something with your life. Number three is that people will start depending on you, and once you need to. Business is about creating dependent demand. You need to be when you're a business, you need to think of how do I become demand driven, where people look for me and I don't have to go looking for them. So that's the one of them. Providing your services at a lower rate or giving something away for free, people start depending on you. So as a young person, very important, volunteer, do things for scratch, but always have a time frame for volunteering and always know who you would volunteer for, and why would I volunteer for this, for that certain purpose. But if you know where you want to go, you'll know where to why you're volunteering. And then the second question is, you said it's, I didn't write it down. If I was going to start over, what I would do differently from day one. Um, What would I do differently from day one? That's a difficult question. That is a very difficult question. But
This is a question, but
what would I do differently? Sure. Because you always think when you're on the journey, you're always trying the best to do whatever you can and can't do. So, what I would do differently is possibly invest more in the business. Yeah. I would have actually, so we've generated profits for many years in the business, and seldomly I reinvest a lot back into the business. I go and look for new business opportunities. So, with if I had invested more in this business, I could have been bigger or maybe further, maybe, but I don't know. But that's what I would have done differently. I would have invested the profits not to starting new initiatives, not into going to new ventures. Although I gained the experience, and I mentioned that experience is the best teacher and very expensive. So that's what I would do, what I would have done differently.
and last question, just closing off. It's a pleasure to have you in the show, man. Thank you so much for coming through. It's an honor to
Thank you.
have a conversation with a public figure like yourself. So one last question, in your about your organization, like how do you see the future of school-based advertising evolving in South Africa, and what are the future projects for this organization? What are the new initiatives? Just tell us a bit more. What are the future plans, and where do you see the company going, and in the industry going?
Okay, good. So, future plans, we have a website. Our website will be updated soon. Our clients will be able to book online. So, you'll be able to book time to activate in a school. You'll be able to book a board online, and be able to do online payments. And then again, we'll definitely go into digital within the next 12 to 24 months, putting screens up in schools. We have built apps before. We'll relook at what kind of communication apps that we'll build, and then also move into supporting education, education tools, and then moving into higher learning institutions more aggressively and not just being schools based, and also then moving into Africa rather than just being into South Africa, into the more developed countries like East Africa, where we're currently looking at going to Nairobi to start, and then Lagos after that into West Africa. So that's where we are currently at.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, man. Thank you so much. Guess we're closing off now.
Thank you, Langalisi. Yeah, I really appreciate the
Thank
time
you.
that you made.